The scene is set in one of New Serum's more quieter cafes at night. Not on Main Street, but somewhere less, although still public enough to have people occasionally. Maybe it's a boardwalk near the river, or maybe it's some of the residential area. Location itself isn't really important, it is somewhat neutral ground. The scene is set when uh, the prince receives a note in the Elysium telling him that a member of the Ignobos wishes to have a meeting, and it has a number. Upon receiving the number, it is assumed that Lysander calls the number and is given an address. Upon getting closer to the address, the prince is called once more and given a table number. The scene starts when the prince arrives at the cafe.
He will look for the table. Check the person sitting at it, if there is anyone there currently.
There is someone sitting at the table. Someone clad in black leathers. Someone who's pale. Probably does not have blush of life up. Is one of maybe 3-4 people in the cafe at the moment. He appears to be sipping a coffee.
You'll go and take a seat opposite the man there and simply wait for him to speak.
He puts the coffee down, looks across. The man himself. I had not expected you personally.
I prefer to take things personally.
Good, good. For that is how my last city fell. Too much delegation.
There's a balance to be struck.
Indeed, indeed. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Martel of the Anarch movement.
I assume you already know who I am, but for the sake of formality, Lysander Eudokia of Clan Bruja, Prince of New Center.
It is my pleasure. He bows his head slightly before raising it. I come to you in this most informal setting for a reason. Nationwide, we are at war. Not on 3 fronts. We have the independent clans. We have the Sabbat and the movement. Those who are, for lack of a better term, stupid, see that the Camarilla are an enemy of the movement when we can really work together.
I'm inclined to agree.
That said, I come to the city bringing grave news. Tampa, Florida has fallen to the supposed sword of Cain. I am one of the few survivors. The rest have fled to other cities to inform those to get ready because the Sabbat are on a war march. They are meaning to conquer all they can.
He seems somewhat taken aback by that. I see. How many casualties?
I hope that they hadn't struck here, but recent events has proven otherwise.
Indeed.
I assume you're aware of the strike on the Eagle.
I am not. Please elaborate.
Supposedly, that threat has assailed the Anarch movement. A couple of kindred had fallen. I do not know who personally, for I am new to the city. But still, this cannot go unanswered. And to be honest, as we are, when we are divided, we will fall. We mustn't let the city fall.
You talk a good game. What do you have in mind?
Question is, what do you have in mind?
Well, currently our city is lacking in what would define a Camarilla city. Lack of influence over mortal institutions. Our first step is to get more control over that. Start getting a handle on the masquerade, start shoring up our own defenses. Until then, there's not much we can do.
There is
We lack,
plenty we can do.
we
What do we
lack the
know?
man, we lack
What
the
do we know?
manpower for a
Go
proper
ahead.
offensive.
What do we know of our threat in the city?
I believe they're being led by a Priscus by the name of Apollo of Corinth, a member of Clan Lasombro, an elder. Uh, I believe they are striking from Portland, though I'm told an Archon led a war party there. It doesn't seem to have helped us at all, so either the Archon is incompetent or they're coming from somewhere else.
Portland is, it's not that far, but it's far enough. That's a couple of hours drive. Do we have people who control influence over transport, logistics?
Not to my knowledge.
So we need to work together to solve this threat. I do not pretend to speak on behalf of the movement, but I hope that my words won't go unheeded. We need to work together. I am proposing a strong alliance between our sects, our groups.
You know the Camarilla isn't as unified as perhaps it claims to be, so I can speak for myself and my allies here. And only myself and my allies, but yes, I'll agree to an alliance.
What can you do to help wrangle the other clans into this alliance?
Well, if I can convince them all to be running scared from the Sabbat, that would be my first step. Give them something common to focus on.
Or more importantly, sheriff. You have a sheriff, right?
Yes.
What can they do to aid the anarch movement?
Well, you were within our borders, and therefore you were under our protection. So, if he's not protecting you, he's not doing his job, and I need a new sheriff, and frankly, I would appreciate the excuse to get one. But, to assist you specifically, I don't know his exact capabilities.
Here's what I want to do. The Sabbat apparently are ballsy. They're attacking our Elysium, our group, our haven directly. I propose we strike back. Who do we have in Clan Toreador or Tremere who may be able to track down the Sabbat? Surely there are people within our numbers who have specs.
I know of 3 Tremere who might be able to assist, and I know a Toreador who'd be happy to help. For the right compensation.
For the right compensation, there is the fundamental difference between our groups. When an anarch is in trouble, the other anarchs decide that let's go sort this shit out before it becomes a problem for the rest of us. Then there's a Camarilla. No offense, well, maybe a little bit of offense. When the Camarilla see a threat, they go, how can I profit?
He leans back in his chair and smiles. Don't need to sell me on the movement. I've been an anarch longer than I'd wager you've been alive.
I have no doubt in this whatsoever. That said, we won't solve this threat by looking for a profit.
You don't need to sell me on that. I'm just figuring out how I'm going to convince everyone to assist who. Leave that to me. I'll make sure it happens.
That said, the boon economy, is it strong in your city?
Not as strong as I'd like it to be, but it's functional.
Do you have harpies?
A few, none that are particularly worthy of the title. And alas, I can't appoint any because, well, I'm the prince and that would be inappropriate, to say the least.
I doubt it. I really doubt that would be the least bit inappropriate, especially if the current matters, especially if the current harpies cannot do their basic fucking duty.
Well, maybe, but you're with the movement. You'll understand how personal respect affects an office like Harpy. If I simply give somebody
frankly.
the title, nobody will abide.
Ah, so there's more so a lack of interest.
There is a stunning lack of ambition in this city.
How can the anarch movement help the Camarilla then?
You keep your heads down, you avoid incursions with the Spartan unless you think you have a good chance of winning, and I think we should get along just fine. If you would like to take advantage of the opening in the transport area, that might be a good way to get yourselves invested in this city.
So you're saying that transport isn't exactly the most uh, infiltrated of um, influences within the city.
I know of no one who has any influence in it whatsoever. It's sitting open. If you would like to take advantage of that, we could consider that perhaps a show of good faith.
And how about city borders? Tell me of Tenerial Domain. Who has domain within this city? Where are the domains in the city?
Domain is still being re-established. I've been Prince for about a week here, you understand? For now, established domains are a few city blocks in Nobility Hill belonging to the Ventru Primage and John Stanhope. Chinatown formerly belonged to myself is being divided up amongst a few of the city's minor players. The Looking Glass Cabaret, it belongs to Calliope Tavalaris, along with a few city blocks. Beyond that, it's still being divvied back up. Traditionally, downtown belongs to the Nosferatu in general. The project is disputed between yourselves and the Gangrel, though no domain was officially stated there. And that's about the short of it. And the airport will be given to the sheriff.
Given to who?
The sheriff.
Sheriff. Maybe this might be a good chance for us to work together to show a sign of unity which may scare the Tremere, or to realize that maybe okay, some of my ambition got out, so I may scare the Sabat into thinking twice before attacking the city, especially if they see a united front. There are a couple of districts which the anarch movement can benefit from, namely the industrial works.
Well, given that you are anarchs, I can't officially give you domain, but if you want to go about and make business there, I can, well, simply not give it out as domain.
More importantly, one of the taglines of the Camarilla is that every kindred is a member of the Camarilla. If they do not claim as much, then they don't realize and they are an enemy. Even the anarch movement, our movement, is a faction of the Camarilla. We just have different beliefs, different ways of how the city is decided to be run. I do believe that we have claim just as much as any other link in the city. And it may be beneficial if you were to become a more... what is the right word? More a futurist.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the Treaty of Thorns that divides the Anarchs and the Camarilla does have a clause regarding domain, but if you're willing to accept the responsibilities that come with domain, I may consider granting it to you in time. I would simply need you to stake your claim and show that you can protect it. That's all I ask.
Do not worry. The industrial area of Lucerum will be well patrolled by the end of the week, if I have any say in the matter. And that said, with that place under control, we should be able to get a better handle on industry, as we can control transport of trucks and transport and bus depots and such.
Alright. You show it to me, and we'll talk about making it formalized.
Next week I shall give you a tour.
Wonderful.
Till then, I hope that we can open communication more often, even
To
if that
that,
means inviting your Primogen and your fellow Anarchs so we can discuss the security of the city as a whole against this fucking incursion.
yeah, so communication's a good idea, I think. Lysander will take a pen and write down a number. I realize you already have my number, but here's a copy. My door is open.
He takes it, he pockets it, before offering a gloved hand out to you.
He does the same, although
Um,
not a glove hand.
right, yeah, and Don takes the hand, shakes it. I look forward to working with you in the future. I look forward in seeing this about fall before us.
As do I. You talk a good game, Mr. Martel. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure is mine. Uh, Don stands and bows slightly before walking out.
Lysander will sit and order himself a tea as Don leaves and simply enjoy it.
Excellent. And see?
Yeah.